Hey guys, this is Jay Lethal, the Blood Machismo, and whoa, the Nature Boy, and you're listening to the Potsy and Tino Show.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings to you its tag team champions of the world, longest reigning tag team champions of the world, the Potsy and Tino Show. That's right, he's Tino Gray. I'm Rob Potsy Potchak, your host for the evening, as always. And our theme song is always brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. You can follow him on Twitter at HootieFan91. You can follow me on Twitter at Potchak. We both have Instagram accounts. We'll go over those later. Tino, how was your weekend?
It was good. Saturday, we went to see Doctor Strange. It was good. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
What did you think it was going to be?
I don't know. It just something didn't feel right. I don't know if people hadn't seen it yet.
But I think they've had plenty of time to see it now. It's been out a month.
I was disappointed with the Scarlet Witch.
Why?
She shouldn't have been a heel.
I mean, she was the villain of the movie.
Yeah, because she wasn't like that in WandaVision. You know what I mean? I'm like, why are they making her be a bitch?
I mean, because
I get it, but I'm like, no. So then Sunday, went to church and hung out at my friend Paul's because he had his they got a pool, so it's kind of like a soft opening because they're not quite done with their backyard. They're making a little backyard oasis. I mean, they've got like palm trees and everything. And so we just went out there and hung out with him. And then I got home and I've been out all day. So I got home, took a shower, then jumped on with you to watch the pay-per-view. And then yesterday we went to another one of Cole's friends lives in an apartment. And they had a pool. So we went hung out by the pool with her. And we stayed out there for a while, came home, went to the gym, came back, showered. And that was pretty much it. I didn't even try to watch Raw because I knew I was going to fall asleep. So I watched Raw today. So that's about it. That's about the excitement of the weekend, dude. It was pretty chill. 3-day weekend. Just relaxed. What I need a lot of rest.
Must have been nice.
Yes, sir.
Because all weekend I was out, man. I was at Carolina Fear Fest Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
How'd it go?
They did a Friday night from 6 to 10 p.m. They did a Saturday from like 10 to 6, and then Sunday was like 11 to 6. It was fine. The show was good. Like the fact that it was in Raleigh meant, I didn't have to get a hotel room or anything for it, and I could drive directly to it from my place. So I mean, like it, like next month I go to Charlotte for Heroes Con, which is like the biggest actual comic book convention that's left. Like they don't even invite like movie stars or actors or anything to that show. It literally is just comic books.
Oh, cool.
And it's one of the very few shows that's like that anymore. So, like every show tries to get an actor or tries to get a wrestler or tries to get, like something else there. And like Fear Fest, no different. Obviously, it's a horror convention. So they had like DJ Qualls from Road Trip was there.
Oh, dude, skinny dude.
Yeah, the real skinny dude. They had him there. They had William Forsythe there. They had Clint Howard there. So Ron Howard's brother was there.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Savini was there. So the guy that actually designed Bray Wyatt's mask was actually at the show. But like the best parts of the show for me were that Saturday I sat and moderated a panel for the guy that played Deputy Doofy in Scary Movie.
Arquette.
No, Scary Movie.
Oh. Okay,
so not Scream.
Okay. Yeah.
But interestingly enough, he told what's going on, Chris Barrett? No, not the Brooklyn Brawler.
No, he said Brooklyn, like Crime Time.
Oh, Brooklyn. So he actually told the story about how like the original name for the movie Scream was actually Scary Movie.
Oh.
Okay. And and the original name for Scary Movie was Scream If You Know What I Did Last Halloween.
Nice.
Because it was a Wayans Brothers movie. So I mean, Keenan was the director, Marlon and Sean were the big actors in it. And you know, like the funny part about that is that like that was back when they were doing like they were making fun of all those movies by putting all the names together to make it happen, you know, like, so that's why it was originally Scream If You Know What I Did Last Halloween. But the fact that Scary Movie was actually the original name was Scream is pretty funny in and of itself.
My favorite Scary Movie, and I like all of them. I think my absolute favorite was Chris Lloyd with the little hand. I'm gonna stir up the mashed potatoes. Get a little taste. That little hand.
Didn't he sit there and say, "Grab my strong hand" at one point?
Yes.
So that was a pretty cool panel. That was a full room. Like there was like 50 people sitting in there, like just asking questions and everything. And it's funny because I got there 5 minutes early because I always show up to panels early so that I can, you know, set stuff down and get ready for whatever. And like it was a horror and humor panel. So I was like, I started thinking that this was just going to be me because like no one else is in there, you know, like there's an audience, but there's no one sitting there with me. Mm. And I'm like, I wonder if, you know, like this is just supposed to be my panel talking about like junior high horrors and, you know, like funny horror movies and whatever. And then he walked in and I was like, oh, I guess I'm moderating this panel. I guess I'm not actually like the guy. What's up, Michael? Like the guy being asked the questions. I'm the guy that's asking the questions on the panel, you know. So that was kind of funny. But then right after that panel, I went in to do an anti-hero panel. And it literally was just me and one other writer. And the other writer was originally listed as the moderator for it. And I was supposed to talk on that panel.
Right.
And I was like, Bill, instead of having a moderator, how about we just have a discussion? You know, like that way we both get to talk. We both get to. And he's like, that sounds like a much better idea.
Awesome.
So we did that. And then on Sunday, we like there was a writer's like a how to write horror panel, and that one was originally just supposed to be me on it. And I was like, well, let's invite Bill, the other writer. And then there were, you know, Billy who wrote the D Ward and worked on junior high horrors with me, was at the show. So I was like, why don't you show up and you be on the panel? So he came on the panel, and then our buddy Thatcher Cleveland, who also is a horror writer, was at the show. So we were like, Thatch, why don't you come on the panel? So we actually had 4 writers on the panel.
And you were on the panel, and you were on the panel. So
well, it made for a much better panel because, like, you know, we opened it up to questions, and as questions got asked, you had 4 different perspectives of what was going on. So it definitely made for a better panel than just like me giving my opinion and telling everybody that they shouldn't try to be a writer, you know. Right. Michael, what's going on? And Chris Barrett, we obviously see you out there in the audience. So I did not moderate a panel with David Arquette. However, last year I was on a panel with Rob Mello, the actor from Happy Death Day. So him and I basically we became best friends at that panel. So and I still keep up with him now. So that's kind of cool. I wasn't on the panel. Potsy Winfrey didn't invite me.
Well, you get on the panel, and you
weren't at the show, Chris Barrett.
Everybody's on the panel.
Everybody gets a panel. So it was stuff was really cool, and as you can tell, I still haven't quite got my voice back. And then, of course, Sunday night, you know, after an entire weekend of being exhausted by the convention, I'm sitting there talking with Tino about trying to get the wrestling pay-per-view, and we can't figure out like what time he's going to be home or whatever, or what time the pay-per-view is actually starting. And
that's a long ass pay-per-view.
What's that?
That was a long ass pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was 5.5 hours.
And I didn't even see I didn't even watch the because when I went back to watch it, it didn't even show the pre. So I didn't.
Yeah, you got to go on YouTube to watch the pre-show.
Okay, so I didn't get to see what I wanted to see. Hook.
Hookhausen.
Yeah. So okay, so on YouTube. Okay, I'll go back and watch that.
So yeah, I want to start. Like this isn't even talking about wrestling, but this is talking about like the presentation of Bleacher Report Live. It absolutely sucks. Like anybody out there that watches these pay-per-views, like I have a Google TV and it will not let me pull up Bleacher Report's application so that I can just watch the pay-per-view on my TV.
When I watched, because I fell asleep with some of it too, yesterday, I got up and watched it on, like I have the Roku TV. It worked fine.
Well, and see here, that's the thing, right? Is that they weren't prepared for how many people were actually ordering it, so they had problems with it. Now, I didn't check to see if I could watch it on my Xbox on the Bleacher Report app, but for whatever reason, the TV app wouldn't pull it up. So every time I tried to cast to my TV from either my iPad or my phone, it was choppy as shit. So I was like, screw it, I'll just watch it on my PC.
Yeah.
And Tino and I have now figured out a way to be able to watch the pay-per-views together and yet separate.
on StreamYard.
No, we didn't. We're not saying how we're doing it.
Oh yeah, you're right. I lied.
He might not have lied, but we're not going to tell everybody how we do it because then StreamYard will end up getting sued or whatever and change up the way that they do things.
But I guess at one point I forgot that while we couldn't communicate, we could still hear each other. And so I guess you heard me talking to Matthew. So I figured out, I'm like, well, he has, and I couldn't remember if you were watching it on your iPad or not, because I have an iPhone, he had an iPad. So I'm like, well, let me try to FaceTime you. And we could still talk while we watched it. And we figured that out. We also had figured out that I was on my MacBook, so I had to go in there and take the FaceTime off the MacBook, so it was on the phone. It just kept doing weird things. And I had to
Well, the number one problem that we had was you sent me a FaceTime request, and I have an Android phone.
But you could have got it on your iPad. That's what I'm saying.
No, because you sent it to my text message. You sent it to my phone number.
Well, yeah, because I thought...
Which I don't have anything hooked up to on my iPad.
Well, no, but I thought there's a way, and there is a way. I just got to figure it out. I can just put your email in there, and it'll still FaceTime you. And that's what I thought I had done.
Well, so the way I figured it out was if I open up the FaceTime app, I send you the request, and that way you're just on everything Apple. It just works. Yeah. Then, of course, Tino had his stuff way too close to his computer, so
because I'm trying to hold the phone. It's like this. I'm trying to talk to you and watch the thing, and finally, I'm like, "Look, I'm tired of holding my phone, dude. I'll text you."
So just so everybody knows, like I moved my iPad to like the other side of the room, so I could still hear Tino, see Tino, everything. But it was like he basically saw me laid out on my couch.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? But my favorite part of it was I'm watching. I don't remember which. I think it was like.
It was the Jericho's Appreciation Society. I missed the entire thing.
And I couldn't hear the commentary, so I text him, "Dude, stop snoring. I can't hear." He texted me back, "LOL." I said, "Dude, you're sleeping. You're snoring." He's like,
Did I sound like I was dying? Did I sound like I was dying?
Yeah.
Did it just sound like loud snoring, or did it sound like I was like actually stopping breathing?
No, I didn't hear something. All I heard was a snoring. I couldn't tell you stopped breathing or not. So I'm like,
okay, because I didn't that night. At least I don't think I did. But like when I go on vacation or whatever, and I'll be in the other room from like my sister and my brother-in-law, they'll be like, Rob, most people sound like they're sawing wood. You sound like you stopped breathing.
Oh, like, I did too. I got. That's why I got the CPAP.
Well, and so today I got a text message from this thing that said your doctor's ordered you a sleep study test. So so like I'm getting an in-home sleep study test to take, I guess, over the next 2 weeks or whatever. What upsets me about it is that like I'm getting ready to take the sleep study test, and it's like it says you have 7 days to return it, or they charge you a $500 deposit.
Wait, well, you get to take it from home?
Yeah.
Dude, I had to go. They set it up. I went to there's like a building, like an office, like a doctor's office, but they had a room, like a hotel room, man. I remember, I'll never forget, it was a Monday night because I had Raw on because you could stay up till 11, and they had me all hooked up. And if I had to go to the bathroom, they can unhook it. And I had like Predator, all the wires. I had to hold it while I went to the bathroom, came back, they hooked me back up. And I'm watching Raw, and about 11 o'clock, they said the lights out. I'm like, all right, cool, Raw. And so I went to sleep, and I'm like, how do I know if I'm gonna need a CPAP? They said, well, we'll wake you up, and put one on you So I was out, and then they woke me up in the middle of the night. So the next morning, I'm like, so how long was I out before, I started breathing? They said within the first 45 minutes of me sleeping, I stopped breathing like 100 times. So like I had 100 episodes because I kind of like, it went back to that. So I got this CPAP machine, and the first night I had it, I got the one that covers my nose now, but originally I had like the Top Gun thing, and I hated that thing. But the first night I had it, so because sleeping with Nicole before, I was snoring, I was always tossing and turning because, and I stopped breathing. So the first night I had it, I was on my back. I had the mask on. I was knocked out. I was awakened by a punch in the arm. And I looked at my wife. I'm like, what is wrong with you? She goes, you weren't moving and you weren't making any noise. I thought you were dead. I'm like, I was sleeping
For the first time ever.
Like a long time. Well, she punched the shit out of me, but it scared her. She's like, you didn't move. I was just on my back. And she's like, I looked, and she said, your chest didn't like it was going up and down. She thought I was dead. I'm like, no, I'm sleeping.
Yeah,
So you get to do it from home? That sucks.
I mean, that sucks.
If I had to go somewhere. That sucks.
Well, so I'll tell you, if I had to go somewhere to do it, they would definitely tell me that I need a CPAP because I just don't sleep when I'm not at home. Like, so no matter what the case is there, I would have trouble sleeping. So they're sending me the equipment. My doctor was like, I don't know if your insurance is going to cover it, but we'd rather you do it from home. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll do it from home. So I mean, yeah, it's just going to be another bill I get, but but I
get it.
Well,
just get the machine.
I assume I will. Like
insurance covers it, and then every 6 months they send you replacements for free. If you need replacement parts or whatever, they'll say, hey, it's time to replace you. Need anything? You're like, yeah. You check off what you need. It's in the mail. They send it to you. I'm like, I love it.
Wow.
Chris Barrett said there's a mouth guard you can get, but I don't know about the mouth guard because I think when you're sleeping, your airways are blocked. That's what the CPAP does. It forces pretty much air to keep your airways open. I don't know what a mouth guard would do for that.
I don't know, but I know that like recently when I wake up, my mouth is completely dried out. So I know that my mouth is wide open and it is trying to get as much air every which way it can. And I just wake up like sometimes I wake up and I'm choking. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, other times I like, and so I want to talk about this too, because like I don't normally dream, okay, like because I never get to REM sleep. I never get to that spot where you start dreaming. But the past week or so, I've been having like these lucid dreams, okay, which means you're not actually asleep and you're not actually awake. You're kind of in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Talk Is Jericho this week, and they had some guys on talking. They do the Ghost Hunters episodes of Talk Is Jericho, and Jericho had them on, and they were talking about this thing called the Terror of Sally House. Okay, and so in Kansas, there's this haunted house that is haunted by like a demon that pretends to be a little girl named Sally.
Oh, fuck that.
And dude, like, so I'm listening to this while driving home.
You had a dream about that little girl.
What's that?
You had a dream about Sally, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
But the only reason why I've kept it on is because the girl I'm seeing now, like she's really into horror movies and stuff. So I was like, oh, this be something that I should let her, I should tell her to listen to this episode of Talk Is Jericho. Because I mean, they're talking about, remember how Fox used to have a show on it called Sightings?
Yep.
So in an episode of Sightings, they were sitting there talking to the owners of the house, and visibly while they're talking to the guy from the house, you can see scratches developing like on his face.
Fuck that.
And like so all this crazy shit's going on, and like twice, like the house put him on fire, and just randomly he got set on fire and shit. So like, I mean, just think about that, you know. So so the other night I'm trying to sleep. It's I want to say it's Saturday. Is Saturday night? No, it was Sunday night because it went into because I was off yesterday. So Sunday night, I'm like sleeping in my bed or trying to sleep in my bed, and suddenly I feel like this feeling of like a rope around my arms, like completely like tying me into my place, right? And
No.
and then pulling me down.
No.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like trying to like maintain my position because I'm like because the thing is I knew I was awake, right? So this isn't real. I'm awake. So whatever this feeling is that's got my arms like this, I'm just gonna sit here and like let it happen. And you know, like when I'm ready to just get up to go pee or whatever, because you know it's like 3 o'clock in the morning when this shit's happening. I'm like when I'm getting up to go pee, I'll just get up and go pee. Like but the whole time I could feel it. And what I have to think, you say that it's probably because of this little girl Sally or whatever. It's probably because 3 hours before that I was watching Stranger Things. You know, and if you've watched season 3 of Stranger Things, not the new season, but if you watched season 3, you know the Mind Flayer has like those giant tentacles that come out of it and everything. So Shane, my brother-in-law, just text messaged me saying that Robert Englund in episode 4 was a nice touch, because he's in episode 4 of season 4. But you know, the Mind Flayer like sits there and like pulls and tugs and everything. So I wonder if my mind was sitting there thinking Stranger Things at the time and had those moments. Which, by the way, so a lot of people say that Stranger Things season 3 kind of fell off. And I kind of agree. Like they went all these weird places with it and everything. And I mean, season 4, there's 3 different places that the show, well, technically, I guess 4 places that the show takes place.
Yeah, well, before I hopped on here, we had just started watching episode 2. So I got to finish. When we get off of here, I'm going to go finish watching that.
Dude, the 7th episode, which is the last episode of it, is like 2 hours long.
Yeah, I was telling Nicole that they're longer for some reason. And then the next one's only 2 episodes. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And it's like 2 hour long movie episodes.
Cool.
But there's rumor that it's the last 2 episodes. Like of it. Oh. Yeah. So but I'll tell you, man, like it's good.
You know what, you were talking about it, was it last week, a couple of weeks ago, and I started watching it like it had been last week. So I started watching it last Thursday, and I've been binge watching it. I'm in the middle of season 2 now, I think, is Lucifer. I was like, I'll give it a try. That show is fucking hilarious.
Yes, it is. Tom Ellis is wonderful.
Oh, dude, he cracks me up.
When I was on the anti-hero panel, we actually brought him up because he's so good in that show, and he's the devil, but he's trying to do right.
Yes.
Like,
because of a detective, he won't call him a detective and detective douchebag. And then the way he freaks out every time a little girl tries to hug him just makes me laugh.
The one that used to be on Dexter.
The little girl?
Yeah, Dexter. Yeah,
I don't know.
The dark-haired girl that is like the forensic analyst. She was Harrison's babysitter in the last 2 seasons of Dexter.
No, I'm talking about the detective's daughter, the little girl.
Oh yeah, the detective's daughter. Yeah. So,
and I'm trying to picture that the brother. Amanda Hill, however you say his name, he was on something else. I can't play some other show he was on or movie or something, but I'll figure it out.
He was in 24.
That might have been it. I was looking on YouTube.
He was Dennis Haysbert's brother on 24. And what's funny is late, Dennis Haysbert actually gets brought in as a character on Lucifer.
Oh God. Okay.
So, and I'm not going to tell you who he plays because it's perfect casting though. I'll tell you that. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm excited about getting forward, but yeah, just to get on. I was like, yeah, I started watching. I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty good show.
So a lot of shows actually all hit this week because Obi-Wan, the first 2 episodes hit.
Is that the new on what Disney?
Disney Plus. It takes place after Star Wars Episode 3, but before Episode 4. It's 10 years down the road.
I didn't even know it was coming out. I'm still waiting for She-Hulk. I just want to.
So the first 2 episodes of that hit. The first episode I thought was kind of slow, which I think is why they dropped 2 episodes to start that one. The second one has Camille Jelani or whatever his name is. The guy that was in Eternals. You saw Eternals, the Marvel, right? So
yeah.
The Indian guy from that like was the one that became a Hollywood star.
Yeah,
the Eternal. So he's in it and dressed as a Jedi. So
nice.
I'll leave it at that. Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers is
Shut up.
He is. He plays a he plays like not a bounty hunter, but like a thug, like the lead thug out of a group. So the first 2 episodes of that hit, and the second episode I thought was really good. First episode I thought was kind of slow. A lot of people are saying that the child character that they have in this show rivals the child character on Mandalorian. I'm going to say it does not. I'm going to say they're a little bitch. So when you watch it, you'll understand. And then 2 other shows came out this week. Tino, Shoresy on Hulu, which is the spinoff of Letterkenny that actually deals with hockey. I thought that was really good, really funny. It's only 6 episodes. It's an hour and 20 minutes long, or an hour and 50 minutes for like the entire thing. Pretty good stuff there. And then I finally got to finish Bosch Legacy because the last 2 episodes of that finally came out. So like, it's funny. You asked how much wrestling did I get in this week, and it's like none. But I watched all these other shows during random hours of the night because they just happen to be on streaming services. 2 of the episodes of Stranger Things I actually watched while I was at the convention, mind you. So, which I didn't have access to anything that I could watch the WWE or AEW while I was at the convention, but I did have Netflix with me, so I watched Stranger Things. So yeah, lots of fun there. I inked the deal to where now I'm going to be editing another book for KeenSpot that is not ready to be announced yet, but so I'm kind of excited about it because it actually brings a bigger name creator-wise to the fold. So I'm pretty excited about that. More on that as we get closer to it. And I did not get to see Top Gun yet. You got a Hollyweed job? I don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. Anyways. So Tino, you want to go ahead and tell me what happened on NXT last week?
No, because I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay. Do we even need to talk about Dynamite? Because I know we're going to talk about the pay-per-view.
No, because I think everything was leading into Dynamite.
Right. So SmackDown. Anything good happen on SmackDown? I was at the convention. I did not get to see it.
Shinsuke and Riddle, I think they're going for the tag team titles now, which I thought Riddle was supposed to be facing Roman, so I guess they scrapped that.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think that Roman's more hurt than they're letting on.
I didn't know, is he supposedly hurt? Is that what the deal is?
Well, don't you remember when he actually won at WrestleMania? Like everybody was claiming that he was hurt. Then he was in the 6-man match at the last pay-per-view. Like they protected him in that match.
So they need So
I mean, there's a good possibility that Roman's actually like hurt, and that's why they're keeping him off TV right now, or at least off out of the matches. Or it could be that new contract that he signed. He just doesn't have to work as much, and it's causing issues there. But yeah, Riddle and Shinsuke. I mean, I love the pairing. I think that they'll do great, but I don't know how I feel about Shane just said that so we have a drinking game when we watch Stranger Things.
Uh-huh.
And it's every time you see Matthew Modine or Paul Reiser, you have to drink and you have to say Modine or Reiser, and then you have to drink, right? So he said episode 5 is getting him drunk.
Oh my God.
Because the whole episode is like Matthew Modine. So
Stupid. Y'all are stupid.
So anyways.
I was about to see if there was anything.
So I know Raquel and Rhonda ended up teaming up rather than facing each other, and it was like Shayna and Natalia.
Yeah, I think I was telling you, might have been off air the other night. I like that one because they kind of kept Shayna and Rhonda away from each other until one point where I think they just thrown Raquel out the ring, and Shayna was like watching her, and she turned around, and her and Rhonda were like face to face, and the crowd went fucking bananas. And then they got pulled away. So they never made contact, but they were face to face. So I don't know. Is that a sign that they might be pushing Shayna soon?
I mean, the one thing Vince McMahon always talks about is you have to listen to your crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he really believes that, then that moment right there should cement it for him. However, it was on SmackDown, so Vince might not have even been backstage.
And another funny part of SmackDown. So they had.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
What's up, Joe? They had the KO show on SmackDown, and his guest was Sammy. Yes. And they were all buddy, and then Sammy was like agreeing with Kevin that that it was a big lie, and Elias is really, or Ezekiel's really Elias, and they were like yeah, and so Kevin's like, yes, and that's why I need you to come to SmackDown. Come to Raw and help me fight this conspiracy that's against me, because you're not needed here. You're not doing anything here on SmackDown. You face it. You're not. He goes, no, I got to stay here because I'm a locker room leader. I'm part of the bloodline. He goes,
you're not part of the bloodline.
I'm not part of the bloodline. They're just using you. Like when you came to Raw, who ate the pin? They left you. And Sammy got pissed off at him. He goes, well. No, I'm needed here, and you're just jealous. That's what happens. You're just jealous because I'm important here, and you're not doing anything on Raw. And you know what else? Elias and they are different people.
So did you hear what
the funny part? The first part of it when he first said, "Yeah, I totally agree. Elias and Ezekiel, they're totally different people. They're lying." And Kevin just hugged Sammy. He didn't say anything. He just hugged him like, "Oh, thank God." And then he turned on him. And then he's like, you're not part of the bloodline. So Sammy got mad and stormed out the ring, and Kevin went after him. So they got in a little tussle in the hall in the little aisleway. And they said, fuck you, pretty much fuck you. And he went back there to the blood, knocked on the door, and goes, yeah, I'm part of you guys, right? What? And they're like, yeah, you're an honorary member. And so he's an honorary. So they closed the door. He's like, yes, I knew
it. So did you hear last night? I guess after Raw went off the air, like Sarah Schreiber or whatever her name is was interviewing Becky Lynch, and all of a sudden like Becky heard something like some laughter or whatever, and she's like, what is that? And then it's Kevin Owens, and he's hiding behind like one of the things, and they're like, is that Kevin? And Kevin like gets up and they're like, what are you doing down there? He's like, well, I guess I'm sulking. I don't even know. Like, I'm just back here. Like I'm so tired of this Ezekiel Elias stuff. And like he starts saying now that while Ezekiel is actually Ezekiel, he had an older brother named Elias. So when he got to WWE, he changed his name to Elias so that he could honor his brother. But now he shaved his beard, and now he's just Ezekiel again. Like, and Sarah's like, what are you talking about? And Becky's like, you don't understand what he's saying? He's saying that Ezekiel and Elias actually are two different people, but the one that we see as the wrestler has always been the same person.
I gotta find that. I gotta watch that.
It's hilarious. It's only like a minute and a half long. I saw it on Twitter like right before we went on the air. But yeah, like and they're both just staring at Sarah like don't you understand? And she's like, all right, we're gonna go back to the studio. And he's like, no, don't you send it back to the studio. Don't you send it back.
Oh my God.
Jeff Jarrett was more of a horseman than Sammy is a member of that. Well, I guess you're right there. Because at one point, Jeff Jarrett did beat Steve Mongo McMichael to become an actual member of the Horsemen. And Sammy has not beaten anybody to become an official portion of the bloodline. So I guess I have to give Chris Barrett his credit here. He's absolutely right on that one.
And the only other thing I want to talk about is we had the New Day with Drew McIntyre against the Brawlers, whatever. The match was all right. The funny part was at the end, New Day and Drew won. And Drew was like, yeah, okay. And he was getting ready to leave the ring. And Kofi stopped him. And he's like,
Made
what?
him dance.
And so Xavier started playing the horn. And, Kofi started twerking and stuff. And they're like, wanted him to do it. And Drew actually, he did a stunt. And he started shaking his hips. And crowd went fucking crazy. It was awesome. It was pretty cool. It was corny, but it was cool. It was good to go home. The hell is that? What's wrong with you?
You hear that high-pitched squeal?
Yeah, what is that? Sounds like a smoke detector.
Sounds like a smoke detector, but there's no smoke in my house. You know what? I think it was the truck backing up.
Oh.
Anyways, I hear something like that. I'm like, is my house on fire?
Other than that, and then Rampage. I don't think anything happened on Rampage, really, did it?
I think they got to the Ruby
Yes.
Soho ended up beating Chris.
Yeah, that's not true about that. Yeah.
And I guess they cemented that Kyle O'Reilly was going to face Darby Allin at the pay-per-view. In a total, who cares that this match is even being put on the pay-per-view?
No, but what you didn't watch Rampage, so you didn't see it. He's like, for what you did to Sting, for Elite did to Sting, he said, so what's going to happen is I want a match for Kyle O'Reilly on Sunday. If not, I'm going to get involved in Adam Cole Bebe's match. And then he was going to get involved into what other match they had. I guess another match.
I don't think they had another match. Oh, the Young Bucks versus the Hearties.
Yeah, he was going to get involved in that one.
Yeah, but okay. So you ready to talk about the pay-per-view?
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready.
The shows weren't really. We'll talk about the pay-per-view and then Raw last night. Then
this says predictions, but I know that I actually switched it. Hold on.
Apparently not.
Well, I did. I did actually. It was results. Oh, you know what? I forgot to hit the save button. That's what I forgot to do. There we go. So, all right. The buy-in match was Hookhausen versus Mean Mark Sterling and or Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese.
Right.
We know who's going to win that match. We know it's going to be Hookhausen. We know that they're going to get their flowers for winning the match, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. The problem I have with this is that this match was more anticipated than like 3 matches that were actually on the pay-per-view card. Am I right?
Yeah, because Hook is over.
Well, you say Hook is over, but when you go back and you actually watch this match, take a listen at who's actually the most over person in the match.
Danhausen?
It was Danhausen.
Okay.
So think about that. Now, I understand having a match to try to get the live crowd hot. Okay.
Right.
But why not, in that situation, have the who even cares if this match truly takes place, Darby Allin versus Kyle O'Reilly match, have that on the buy-in instead? Because all things considered, that match is going to be more of a banger of an actual wrestling match.
Which one, the Darby Allin one?
Oh, absolutely. Because Kyle O'Reilly's going to bring it to you.
Yeah.
And Darby Allin on Twitter even said, I knew it was going to be a tough night when this happened. And it was when Kyle O'Reilly kicked him right in the nose.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, like, but see, that's the type of match that you would actually want as your opening match, because there wasn't a lot of build up to the to that match. There wasn't a lot going on beforehand with it. So yeah, it might have actually caused Darby Allin to not come out and interfere in 2 other matches, blah blah blah, whatever bullshit they want to come up with there. But the fact remains that that match did not deserve to go on after any title match on the card. Like, the title matches all should have been after that match.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to take any, like, if and see, here it is again, the Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay match. They made Anna Jay look a lot better than she actually is. Okay, that's fine.
Well, we'll get to that one.
Well, I mean, okay. You want me to try to stick with like the actual card, because I'm not going to remember how that works.
That's why I rolled. That's why I got it. So
all right.
The first match was Wardlow and MJF. Which, did MJF really get any offense? He just ran, and then once Wardlow got his hands on him, he powerbombed his ass 10 times.
Yeah, but okay, so let's look at everything that transpired for the past week when it comes to MJF, right? MJF got knocked out in the cage match against, with Shawn Spears. Again, first match of the night. So this has been like an ongoing thing. MJF's the opener every night for however long, and during that time frame, Wardlow's been getting one up on him every single time. Now you take it kayfabe style, and you start looking at all this, and you start realizing that MJF is not happy backstage. So it's going to be a hot match, but you also know that it's really going to be a squash. And even if it wasn't meant to be a squash, it was going to be a squash, because Tony's pissed off at Wardlow, right? Or not Wardlow, but at MJF right now. So he's going to squash him. He's going to put him in his place. Hey, you don't want to work here. I don't have to let you out of your contract. You'll just get your downside guarantee. Now granted, the downside guarantees in AEW may be higher than some people in WWE, but we've talked about it, and we were talking about it while watching the pay-per-view, that when it comes down to it, like, MJF's pissed off because guys like CM Punk and Bryan Danielson came in making more money. Like, AEW wouldn't be where it is necessarily without the 4 pillars of AEW, which are including MJF. It's the 4 young people. It's Jungle Boy. It's Britt Baker. It's MJF, and it's Darby Allin. Like those are the 4 pillars that they want to keep happy, so that they can continue to build their wrestling for the next 20 years or whatever. But right now, it looks like MJF sitting there saying, I'm going wherever Cody goes. Can't necessarily say I blame him. Now granted, the contract in WWE is going to shut his mouth and make him do what they tell him to.
And they might at the
they
beginning,
might not take him.
If they do at the beginning, they'll push him to move. Then they'll probably push his ass down to mid card or under.
Well, hold on a second. How is that any different than what AEW does?
CM Punk's not mid card.
Okay, there's one guy.
Daniel's not really mid card.
What? What?
He's not mid card.
They pushed him down to a tag team.
Yeah, but look who he's with. He's with Moxley.
It doesn't matter. They're both a tag team now. They're mid card.
Nah. I call bullshit on that one. I disagree.
No, see, that's where you're blinded by this whole thing. Adam Cole is now mid card.
He just won the things. I guarantee, because he won that Owen Hart thing. He'll be in main event.
No, he's going to stay in mid card because he already had his main events and he didn't win the title, so they dropped him back down to mid card. They're waiting until Kenny Omega comes back so they can finally have him feud against Kenny. But even still, like, it doesn't matter. Like every single one of the Ruby Soho. Soho came in. They pushed her all the way to the finals of the tournament. And guess what? She loses to the same person that's in the women's division that always wins.
Well, I told you when Adam Cole won, I said Britt's going to win.
Well, we said as soon as we saw them both wearing pink that they were going to win. Mm-hmm. Like that. If that wasn't a telltale giveaway on it, I don't know what was. You know, like Samoa Joe came out wearing black and green like he always does. Ruby Soho came out wearing, I think, black and green. So, you know, but all things considered, I mean, so with the Wardlow match, all the bullshit that happened outside and everything else, there was no way that Tony was going to let MJF win or even really get serious offense in there. The only way it was going to happen was if the two of them went off script.
Yeah.
And I think that the referee that was in the ring and everything else was there to make sure that they didn't go off script.
I did like the one part of it where MJF faked the injury, and when he pulled the ring out of shorts, and Wardlow and the ref just look at him like they just watched him pull him out of his trunks, just look at him, and the ref just reached down and took it off his finger. I thought
and put it in his pocket.
I thought that was a good spot.
It was. I mean, the match was entertaining. It was everything that you expected it to be. It wasn't a long match. It wasn't a wrestling match. It was a squash. And that's all it had to be, right? It had to cement Wardlow as all elite, and it did.
All right.
Next match after that.
The Bucks and the Hearties.
Tale of two matches. Because Jeff Hardy looked like he missed last call for the first half of the match. And then somehow, I guess maybe his Ambien wore off and he was fine for the second half of the match.
Yeah, I don't know.
But match. I find it interesting that he's no longer on the card for Wednesday night.
Was he on there before? Yeah,
there was a 10-man tag match announced, and now all of a sudden it's an 8-man tag match because him and Adam Cole are off the card.
I could have sworn it was the Jurassic Express, I thought, and the Hearties. Wasn't it against the Elite?
Yeah, but now it's not the Hearties. Now it's Matt Hardy and Christian.
Oh, you said Matt was high. You meant to say Jeff.
No, I said Jeff. Jeff's not in the match on Wednesday night now.
No, I'm talking about the tag team match. You said Matt looked like he was missed last call. And
no. Jeff looked like that. Yeah, I said Jeff.
You said Matt. That's why I was like confused.
No. I definitely said Jeff.
Chris Barrett.
What's that?
Nothing.
I can't wait for Braun Breaker legitimately.
I was telling Chris Barrett to say that you said Matt, but because he heard.
Oh well, he's not paying attention. He's watching NXT right now. So Hardys versus the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks gave the Hardys the win. Isn't it weird that now Jeff Hardy seems to be the one that struggles to do everything in the match, and Matt Hardy, the guy who couldn't walk when he was finishing up with WWE, suddenly is
walk.
What's that?
He still can't walk his bow-legged ass. He's still
yeah, he does this.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck.
His weird like hobble, but I mean he moves better than Jeff now. Like and part of that's because
the Swanton, Jeff even said he doesn't want to do it that much because it hurts his back.
And yet, what's he doing? He's doing it off of like 28-foot ladders.
Well, that's what people come to see. Shit. He still does it. He doesn't do it. He said he doesn't do it as often, and he's going to not do it as much, but he still does it. I think my favorite was, and that's from the TikTok you sent me this week, with Revy coming into while Matt's working out with a Matt action figure, and she's like, "Hey, let's play action figures." She said, "You be Matt Hardy, and I'll be the box that you come in." And it took him a couple seconds to get what she was saying. He's like, "What?"
Yeah, that one was funny.
That did make me laugh.
That was funny. So the Hardys got the win. It was fine. Oh,
that's all I got to say. Okay. Let's see. The next up we had Jade Carhill and Anna Jay.
So I'll let you talk about it.
I mean, it's pretty much what I figured it would be. She whooped that ass, but the cool part was seeing Michael Bivens come down, and I forget his new name now.
Swashbuckler or whatever it is.
Something, but then I didn't, but you'd already, I hadn't seen the match yet, but you told me that I guess Shivani was like, I haven't seen him since 2017. And JR was like, I've never seen him.
I get that Bivens is a good manager, okay, whatever his new name is. I also get that Athena is a top talent in the women's division. At this point, they don't need either of them.
I think Athena's going to be the one to take that title off of Jade.
Who, Athena?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Statlander's the first one that came running down to the ring. You know, like,
yeah.
I just, at this point, I'm so tired of watching new people, well, WWE people run down during an AEW event. And here's why. Because right now, you could have them showing up in Impact. You could have them showing up in the NWA. The NWA needs people. I'm not sure that Billy Corgan has the money to pay them like AEW does or whatever, but New Japan needs talent, you know? And Athena would be great in New Japan.
You think?
Like, oh yeah. Yeah, I mean like versus the little Japanese women, like she'd be great. You know? Because remember, the Japanese still like their big monster characters, and Athena being the werewolf-like character with the cool eyes and everything else would just dominate that women's division in New Japan. You know? Not to mention she could still come over and wrestle in AEW because obviously they're doing Forbidden Door. But I mean, like, at this point, we have 2 women's titles. We don't have women's tag titles in AEW yet, but we still only have 3 hours of TV.
Yeah.
So I don't care, and I don't care about AEW Dark. I don't watch it. The only time I ever see it is if I'm at the event. You know, so them telling me that Ruby's already like 34-7, I'm like, no, she's not. She's had like 4 matches on TV. You know?
Well, past, a little bit, yeah.
So, you know, like Athena coming over, yes, it's a win for their women's division, but I mean, we've literally only had 4 women's champions in all of AEW ever? 5, because Jade is the first champion on that. In 3 years, there's 5 champions, and that's 2 belts. You know, like, do you really need to make the division bigger?
Yeah.
You know, and I almost think that the men's need to have another belt because if you just have Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky going after the 1 belt all the time, you know,
after that last one,
I know, and we'll talk about that here, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I thought you're still going on about the Athena.
Nope.
House of Black and Death Triangle. It was all right. I think the most exciting part of that one was when old girl spit in his face. I mean, other than that, I'm like, yeah, it's just another match.
So, JR, you gotta love him. He continued to say during that match, all these men feeling like they deserve to be in the main event. All these men look like main event talent. Pound for pound, there isn't a better guy than Pac, the bastard Pac. Let me go ahead and dispel some rumors here. If these guys were main event talent, they would be in the main event. Pound for pound, Bryan Danielson's better than Pac. Pound for pound, Hangman Adam Page is better than Pac. Pound for pound, Kyle O'Reilly is better than Pac. Adam Cole's better than Pac. Scorpio Sky is better than Pac. I mean, obviously, he's won a title. So you can sit there and say whatever you want about these 6 guys in the ring. Oh, Penta, Cierro de Amiro, whatever. And like, let me go ahead and just say this. You put them in Impact, and they might be main eventing some events.
Mm.
You put them in AAA, they're definitely main eventing some events. But you put any of those 6 guys currently into WWE or AEW, and they're right where they are, right in the middle of the show. Best workers, maybe. And I don't even think that's true because I just gave you a whole bunch of names that are better workers. I mean, hell, Kyle O'Reilly beat Cero Del Miero.
Yeah.
You know, like, or Penta. You know, I don't know which one it was that he beat, but he beat one of them in the tournament.
Yeah, I can't. Phoenix.
Ray Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yes, the guy who everybody's like, oh, this guy is good enough to beat Kenny Omega for the world title. You're full of fucking shit. You know he's not good enough to beat Kenny Omega for the world title because he didn't beat Kenny Omega for the world title. Yes, he got one main event, but that's because AEW didn't have Bryan Danielson or CM Punk or Adam Cole at that moment when they had to use Ray Phoenix in a main event with Kenny Omega as the world champion. So JR sitting there saying all that, Tony Schiavone saying the Bastard Pack being pound for pound the best fighter in his weight class is full of shit.
Mm.
And I know that it's commentary, and it's like Tony Schiavone went every week on Monday Nitro was, join us next week for the biggest Nitro that we will ever have. And it was every week that he would say that. And at some point, you don't grow anymore. You kind of level off, or you go a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Was the match good? Yes. Brody King almost broke his own neck. Tried to jump over that top rope. Big guys like that do not need to do suicide dives every week. Look at The Undertaker. He did it at WrestleMania. He did it at a big pay-per-view. He never did that on a Raw or a SmackDown unless it was a world title match. He didn't have to.
Because he's the Undertaker. I mean, Taker.
He definitely wasn't the Undertaker. Buddy Matthews, great wrestler. Him versus
Cedric Alexander.
Him versus Cedric Alexander, absolutely one of the best matches I've ever seen live.
Yeah.
But him versus Malachi Black actually probably is literally one of the best matches I've ever seen live, and I saw that with Jason in Winston-Salem in November. The talent in the ring, yes, it was really good. But they're relegated to mid-card, and they're never coming out of it at this rate. The House of Black being a faction that if they were to sit there and say, okay, we're going to put them up against the Undisputed Elite, who's winning that feud?
Undisputed Elite.
And why?
Just because they're more, I don't want to say talented, but they're bigger names.
Money. Ratings. Adam Cole's going to bring in the ratings more than Aleister Black. You know, now should Aleister or Malachi Black be bringing in the ratings? Absolutely. Should they let him speak on the fucking microphone? Absolutely. Should they be doing whatever they can to get these guys over so that, yes, maybe at some point CM Punk sits there and gets scared of Malachi Black and does actually have a main event match against him. Like, I think that when we talk about the championship match, I think that there's a reason why the end happened the way that it did. I think that there's definitely a reason why the person that walked out as the champion did. And you and I have been talking about this for weeks now. And we predicted a specific person walking out as the champion, and I'm not going to ruin it yet because we're going to get there. So the House of Black versus Death Triangle. I would almost like to see those 6 guys all decide, let's put our problems behind us and become a giant faction so that we can go up against the Undisputed Elite.
That means that, well, I don't think they're ready to turn House of Black face yet.
I don't think it necessarily would turn them face. I think that it would turn Death Triangle more heel, but I don't think Death Triangle even knows what the fuck they are.
But well, I guess fake. I mean, heels and
Undisputed Elite is going to get cheered no matter what. The Young Bucks might not out of that group,
Yeah,
but everybody else, Adam Cole gets cheered. I mean,
oh yeah,
he just goes like this, and instead of RVD, you get Baby.
yeah. And Jericho, for some reason, I mean, no matter what he tries to do, they boo the shit out of him, but don't start playing fucking Judas, because then it's sing along with.
So all right, so am I right or am I wrong about that match?
Yeah, you're dead on with that match.
Okay.
Cole and Joe.
I was very disappointed. Not with the outcome or anything else, but those two guys are so much better than that.
Joe was sluggish, it seemed like.
I think he got kicked in the back of the head with the knee, and it might have rattled some shit loose. I mean, Joe has massive concussion issues.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let Adam Cole kick him in the back of the head. Like Daniel Bryan, don't do the diving headbutt. Okay, he does it once every 6 months now instead of every match 3 times. You know? Like Joe's just getting back into the ring. It's like his 4th match back in like 4 years, it feels like. But so you agree that the match let you down?
Yeah, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It could have been.
Talk about it.
Like I said, Joe just seems sluggish. I've seen Joe and Cole have wrestled before. I
don't know if they have.
I think they have. I think they did once in ROH. I won't say they did in ROH.
No, I know that they teased it when Joe first came back because he said, I can't do anything until you touch me in NXT when he came back, and then he beat Karrion Kross, but he never got his hands on Adam Cole. I don't think they ever did actually wrestle. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, there's Adam Cole was a young boy for a long time, so
the chemistry wasn't there for me. Something wasn't clicking, and I can't just put my finger on what it is. It just wasn't. It wasn't smooth. It was clunky.
Yeah,
it was clunky. And it looks like both of them were trying to lead, and nobody was following. So it was a clunky match.
Too many Chiefs, not enough Indians.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that assessment. I also thought that they went to the same well that they always do. Adam Cole cheated to win.
Bobby Fish.
And when you're doing a tournament that is about respect, honor, and heart, if you will, having him win in the way that he did is disappointing.
Well, we know that Owen Hart wasn't always a good guy, though. He did cheat. He was Stone Cold. He pulled some tights to win. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
He did. And I agree. But this was a tournament about honor, about love, about respect, about heart. And
they gave you that. They gave you that in Britt. Britt didn't cheat to win.
No, but and in fact, the way that she won her match, and I mean, it was the next match, so we can just roll right into it. The way that she did win her match was the way that Owen beat Brett at WrestleMania 10 or 9.
The schoolgirl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the roll up. It wasn't not your typical schoolgirl, but the roll up.
While we're on the subject of Owen Hart or the Harts period, you and I even mentioned it last night. How many times will you see a fucking sharpshooter? And how many times, and none of them did it correctly.
Oh my God. That all night, every time somebody went for a submission hold using the legs, like they couldn't stand upright. Like,
what was going on with that?
And it wasn't just those matches either. It was the rest of the night. Like CM Punk trying to put Hangman in something. Eddie King.
You trying to put him in a sharpshooter.
Yeah, and it just never like they drop to their knee, and it's like that's
every
not the way
time
that works.
Somebody put on a sharpshooter, He dropped their knees and they were more on the mat than they were anything. Nobody.
Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby did the same thing, and I was like,
right.
"What is going on here?" Like how? Like because someone went for a Texas Cloverleaf at one point as well. I think
I think that was the championship match because the Maliko, what's her name? The trainer, the
Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, not Thunder Rosa, but the one
Yeah,
she went for the Cloverleaf and fucked it up, but we'll talk about that too.
Yeah. So Britt Baker ends up beating Ruby, and did we finally get a little bit of a babyface turn from Britt Baker?
I think so. Two things I want to say about her.
Or did she just prove what I said about honor, respect, heart?
Before we get on that, we got to fail to mention out of nowhere, for no apparent reason, the guitarist from Fozzy is playing for Britt Baker coming out of the ring.
I think that was done because they wanted to give that match an extra special feel because they had Rancid play Ruby Soho's entrance.
That was the second thing. I was thinking more emo. These are like this fat.
Dude, they look like a biker bar band.
I was like, what the hell is going on?
I mean, good for Lars and the team, but I'll tell you, they literally look like, you know what they reminded me of? They remind me of the very beginning of Terminator 2 when Arnold walks into that bar and he looks at everybody and goes, "I need your clothes, your boots, your motorcycle." Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, that guy comes out and shoots at him and he goes, "I can't let you leave with the guy's wheels, man."
Yeah.
And then Arnold just walks up and swipes those sunglasses and puts them on. And you're like, that's badass.
Badass.
You know? But yeah, no, you're absolutely like, but it was great hearing them play Ruby Soho.
Yes.
And Lars, the lead singer of Lars Frudriksson, is a huge pro wrestling fan. So do not be, and they actually did give her the okay to use the name because she actually was trying to figure out what kind of name she could use because she wanted to stay as Ruby instead of whatever she was before that. Oh
God, it's been Ruby so long. Ruby Riot.
No. Well, even before Ruby Riot, who she was on the
something Lovelace.
Yes, she was like Ada Lovelace or something.
Yeah,
Ida Lovelace maybe. But the like she was sitting there trying to figure out what to call herself, and like she just happened to be on like Busted Open, and Busted Open told her to call Lars Frederiksen to sit there and ask what they thought of her using Ruby Soho, and they were like, you can not only use the name, but we'll let you license the music for free.
Right. Heidi Lovelace.
It's like Sexton Hardcastle.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't it be great if Edge started coming down as Sexton Hardcastle again?
No.
That's my Chris Barrett moment of the night.
No.
All right, so Britt Baker ends up beating Ruby Soho. Ruby gets the nod of respect from Britt Baker. Really seemed like the first time Britt has given respect to anybody besides the two that follow her around everywhere. And I kind of feel like what we might start seeing is maybe a female tag team of Britt and Ruby, because the other two end up getting a little bit upset at Britt for how she actually showed respect to Ruby.
Or I think they're listening to what Vince always says. They're listening to the people. People are cheering.
Time to turn her baby. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Oh shit! It went out on me.
I mean, you might be right. It'd be cool. What's next?
It went out on me. Give me a minute. I think after Britt Baker, blah blah blah. There was the Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club.
Wait, are you sure? Because I thought it was the Darby versus Kyle.
You're right. This one is a different thing.
I think it was Darby versus Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Go for that.
I felt like this match should have been on the pre-show.
Hold on, House, Death Triangle, Adam Cole, Britt Baker. No, it was no. It was American Top Team.
Oh, right. It was the
The 6-person mixed tag. It was American. It was
tag.
Paige, Sky,
Yeah, trios.
Sky and Paige, with Frankie, Sammy, and Tay.
So
And
you know what I loved about this match?
Frankie was face, but the other two were heels.
I loved that because they played up to it. Because Frankie was the only baby face out of all 6 people, except maybe Paige Van Zant.
Yeah.
Like Paige wasn't trying to be a baby face, but she got the pop. And did you hear how many times Tay Conti sat there and said, "Bitch, blah 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 blah, bitch"? Like you could, like it's the only word that she knows in English, apparently.
And then they just make out in the middle of the ring.
And you know what? They made out in the middle of the ring.
You're like, oh, really?
Well, okay. So like when you watch a movie and you see the actors have chemistry, like they just happen to make those mouths move in the right way. This was like venom tonguing, like all over the face, almost like constantly, and it was like
it's like Edge and Lita back in the day.
Edge, yeah. Which is weird because you know the two that you would almost think would do that would be Miz and Maurice.
Yep.
And yet they don't. You know, like they have too much respect for how they actually kiss each other. It feels like, you know.
Edge didn't do that to Beth. Beth put him in a fucking glam slam.
Yeah, she would. She would. She'd probably kiss Santino like that though.
Yeah.
So
what you think of the match?
So this match was meant to be the coming out party for Paige Van Zant.
And I think they did a good job. I think they did a good job of protecting Ty because she's had good matches though. But
here's the thing that I noticed. I would say that they did a really good job of protecting Paige for most of the match. And then they let her have that moment where she was supposed to like start doing some cool shit. And then all of a sudden, like she did like a slam to Ty and both of them went down and Paige never got back up. So I don't know if she hit her own head too hard or what the deal was, but it was like she wasn't ready for the move that she executed.
Yeah.
Because you would have thought she would have popped back up, but no, instead she didn't. Best move of the entire match was when Ty was in Frankie Kazarian's face and Frankie ducked out of the way and Sammy Guevara kicked
the shit
out of Ty Conti.
I mean, I didn't see how he didn't like he pulled it. I mean, that looked snug as hell. He kicked the shit out of her.
Yeah, he did. And you know, all night long he was sitting there going, "I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, baby." The right team went over. The American Top Team went over, and now both Frankie Kazarian nor Sammy Guevara can ever go for as long as Scorpio's got the title, neither of them can go after the TNT title anymore, which they'll defend on TBS. They won't defend it on TNT. For whatever reason.
Right.
I thought the match was good, actually. Like, I liked it. Like, out of all the matches up until this point, I actually thought that this was the most entertaining match that we got. And part of it was because I really, really liked the dynamic of Frankie Kazarian being the only babyface in the entire match. Like, he got his shit in. He got out of the way. They still lost the match.
I remember, I think I even said to you, in that match, I'm like, what if? Because at first, Frankie and Scorpio weren't really hitting each other. I'm like, what if Frankie goes over to the top team side, American top team.
And I don't want to see Frankie as a heel though.
Yeah.
I think what you're probably going to see now is Christopher Daniels come back and maybe have the American top team guys of Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky go up against Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. And I think it's time that Sammy goes on to something else.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, where? Yeah, because like you said, they don't have that other belt. I don't think he's ready for main event yet. So where does he go?
I mean, he's gonna get relegated the way that they always do, man. Like Darby Allin, hey, mid card now. Sorry, it's just the way it is. And I'll tell you, if you can't get yourself over like Wardlow, you're not gonna open the night or close the night. And it's because there are too many guys there that can open the night or close the night now. So specifically, don't be surprised if all of a sudden Jurassic Express finally loses those tag titles. And when
I thought it was going to happen last night.
Well, I mean, especially when you see Swerve jump off the chest of Keith Lee.
That's fucking awesome.
Fucking
Keith
crazy.
Keith Lee singing, "Oh my God."
Fucking craziest thing I saw all night. That and this is with Jeff Hardy doing swanton bombs onto ring steps and shit.
No, but I think the other craziest thing, it cost him, but Stark doing that strut on the top rope for the longest time. I'm like, dude. I mean, thought that was cool.
It's what they get away with. So
I've seen people walk. I've never seen anybody strut across the top rope like that.
He probably wasn't even sure he could do it. That's why he just kept doing it.
He's like, "Look, I'm doing it.
So of course, in that match, Jurassic Express ends up walking out as the champs.
We skipped like 3 matches, but yeah, okay.
Did we?
Yeah, we didn't talk. It was Kyle O'Reilly, then it was Thunder Rosa, then it was Jericho, then it was Jurassic Express because they went on before the CM Punk match.
Oh, okay.
We skipped like 3 matches.
Well, okay. So here's why I keep skipping around. It's because I kept falling asleep.
That's true.
So and I am going to say that it's partly because the booking of AEW that night was not as on point as it has been in the past.
How come I managed to stay awake?
I mean, I'm glad you did, but like you weren't out all weekend like I was. All right, so Thunder Rosa and
nope, Kyle O'Reilly.
I already talked about that match.
All right, Thunder Rosa.
I mean, do you have anything you want to say about Kyle O'Reilly?
No, I'm just going in order. Okay, Thunder Rosa and Serena. So we're talking about the Cloverleaf thing. Yeah, she fucked it up. That match, that was a banger match. I enjoyed that match.
It was solid.
Yeah. Next we have it was solid.
It was 2 solid performers giving solid performances and the right person going over. As much as it's nice to see Serena Deeb hadn't lost a match in her entire AEW career at this point, she wasn't going to beat Thunder Rosa.
No.
So
the Jericho Appreciation Society. First of all, it made me laugh. They said, they said they came out. Somebody in the commentary said
they looked like a boy band. And they absolutely did. And that's what you expect from sports entertainers, right?
But if you get the foreshadowing, when they came out with all white, I'm like,
you knew it was going to get bloody. You knew.
And I think my favorite part of the whole match was they were kicking ass and Moxley's music still playing until finally somebody went up to the soundboard.
Well, didn't they hit somebody on the soundboard?
No, he took the soundboard and showed it to the camera and threw it on the ground and hit it and stomped on it, and the music stopped. But like the first good 5-6 minutes of that match, Moxley's music's playing and they're just fucking going at it.
Yeah, that's funny. The sorry, got an email about something of someone wanting to interview me for some magazine. Anyways, I read something, I think it was Bleacher Report, where they said that the wrong team went over here.
I don't agree. Especially because the J is still new. They needed this one. I mean, you got bangers in the other team. You got Moxley. You've got Kingston, and you've got Pride and Powerful. They're already more over. Jericho's got to get this version of his new squad over.
Well, yes and no. Okay, you're absolutely right that Jericho needs to get the squad over. I agree. There was already dissension between the Blackpool Combat Club and Kingston and his best friends.
What the fuck was Kingston with the damn? Just came out with gasoline. What the fuck was that? And not only come out with gasoline,
that's the most expensive spot of the night, by the way.
gasoline. Daniel Bryan had, I don't know who Daniel Bryan had in the submission, and King just walks up and just pours gasoline on them both.
It was Jericho that was in the submission.
That's right. And he poured gasoline on them both. Was about to light them up, and Bryan Danielson jumped like motherfucker, and he put like.
Well, and like I said, that's the most expensive spot of the night because gas ain't cheap.
Yeah, true.
You know, I mean that was a 5-gallon jug. I mean, I'm sure
the water in that gasoline can that costs a lot of money. The water they put in that gas can costs a lot of money.
I always like if you sit close enough, you can tell whether or not it's really gasoline or not because you can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but the real question is whether or not they use the right type of lightable fluid or not, because you know when Cody got set on fire against what was it, Sammy Guevara, when he got set on fire, apparently they went out and bought kerosene, which does not burn out, instead of gas.
Got the mark on his back.
Does burn out, and that's why he has those 3rd-degree burns on his back even to this day. This match was exactly what you expected, and the right team did go over. You're absolutely right. The fact of the matter is, and you and I talked about this. I said, I think I said like 3 weeks before this match happened that the Jericho team was going to win this match, and it was easy to see. Excuse me, and the reason why was because they needed to establish themselves as a formidable foe, right? But then on top of that, like they really needed to show that like the other team doesn't need it, because like you said, you know, and I'll argue with you right now that Moxley and Danielson are main event caliber wrestlers, and they are. Don't get me wrong, singles matches, those guys can go for the world title tomorrow, and one of them might. I don't know, but you know, like where the fuck was Wheeler Yuta? You know, like is he in Japan? Maybe. Whatever. But like they didn't need the win. Jericho did, and a 5-man or 10-man match like this isn't going to go against your record. Exactly. You know, just like the trios mixed gender match isn't going to go against the records. So
that's why it didn't hurt Britt Baker to lose that match to Thunder Rosa in the Lights Out match. That's why I think, you know.
Yuta was in Japan at the Super Junior weight tournament. Okay, thanks, Chris Barrett. And that's kind of what I thought. I expected him to be in Japan. Jericho could have burned that whole building down. Yeah, there was enough gasoline on him to burn that whole building down. So anybody thinking that Jericho wasn't going to come out of that with the victory, and I think they did it right. I think by choking out, it was Danielson that they choked out. Mm-hmm. I would have preferred it if it was Kingston. I mean, choking out Danielson doesn't hurt Danielson really, but it doesn't help the storyline. You know, because right now Kingston's got to get his revenge on Jericho.
Yeah,
and Proud and Powerful need to get their revenge on Jericho.
Yeah,
and they haven't.
They will. I think that's probably a slow burn. I think they will.
Well, I have a feeling you're going to see that they're going to say we're going to do trios titles, and they're going to do a tournament for them, and you're going to see Kingston and Proud and Powerful versus Jericho, the one kid that they've got, Daniel Garcia,
Yeah.
and Jake Hager.
Jake Hager, yeah.
And
I almost said Jack Swagger. Jake Hager.
Yeah, Jack Swagger. Yeah. Jericho versus Danielson does nothing. Jericho versus Kingston is the real story. I agree with you on that, Chris Barrett, but I will say that the better match will be Danielson versus Jericho. And we've seen Danielson versus Jericho. They can bring up the NXT storyline where Jericho was actually his mentor and everything else back when Bryan Danielson first came to WWE.
No, it wasn't. That was a Miz.
You're right, but remember who the first match that he had was?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. It was the Miz that was his mentor, but Jericho was the first match that he had, and that's why he got kicked out of the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So, like you can have Jericho continue to sit there and run his mouth saying that Danielson is still never going to be anything because he's never beaten Chris Jericho. And I would say that when you go to All Out in September or whatever, a Jericho versus Danielson match suddenly becomes a co-main event.
Mm.
Not saying it'll happen, just saying that they really should consider that match. Just like Jericho versus Kenny Omega in the Tokyo Dome became a co-main event, even though like nobody actually expected it to, or whatever. All right, next up
was the Jurassic Express match. We talked about that.
I slept through the entire thing, so talk about it.
I mean, you had the big man go against the big man. You said you saw. The highlights were Ricky walking the top rope. The flip that Swerve did off his chest. I mean, those are pretty much the highlights. They managed to keep Jurassic Express, specifically the dinosaur. He wasn't in it. So the match plan consisted really. It was really Swerve and Strickland against Swerve, and Lee against the other two, Starks and Powerhouse. I mean,
and if you've noticed, every time that they've had these not even a trios match, but three-way tag team matches, that seems to be the theme. Mm. And even the last time they did the pay-per-view, I flat out said, because it was FTR. No, it wasn't FTR. It was Red Dragon and the Young Bucks versus them. I said, watch how this match all goes down, because Jurassic Express will come back at the end and sneak a victory. And they did the same thing again.
And now they come down to Swerve in their glory. I think that's what it came down, like a tag team name. But so it was a good match. Jurassic Express, of course, pulled it out. But what I want to touch on, we've been talking about Christian. Remember Christian that teasing the heel turn and saying that they were losers, but blah, 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 blah. At the end of every match, Jungle Boy stands on the top rope. What does Luchasaurus do? He comes underneath him and puts him on his shoulder. Jungle Boy stands on the top rope. Christian goes underneath him, puts him on his shoulder. And if you look, Luchasaurus looks at him like, what the fuck? At first, and he keeps staring, and then they raise his hand, and then he's still like staring and looking, and then Christian put him down. Christian never looked at Luchasaurus, but Luchasaurus is staring at him like, dude, that's my shit. So I think they're starting to plant little seeds. And if you weren't really picking up on it, you wouldn't have caught that. I caught that.
And I mean, that's storytelling, and by the way, that's Christian's influence there, not necessarily Tony Khan saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we do this?
You think?
Oh, definitely, dude. Like, Christian is an old school storyteller. Like, he's definitely telling the story better than other people are.
And that's the thing. Like, it was just subtle. I picked up on it, so I don't know how many other people picked up on it, but it was in the body language. Luchasaurus was kind of looking at him and not really going over to congratulate. He was kind of just standing there with his belt, just looking. I'm like, yeah, buddy, something's about to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and then we got the Punk and Hangman Adam Page.
You want to know how much of this match I got to see?
None of it.
I literally heard Look in my eyes. What do you see?
Why didn't you just go back and watch it again?
I didn't have time.
Yeah. So it was a good match.
I am going to, mind you, because I want to see the match.
It was a lot of back and forth, believe it or not. It's like the arena was torn in half. Split down the middle. There was a ref bump. He got knocked out. While he was out, Adam Page picked up the belt and he looked at it. And CM Punk was down. He was hurt. He looked at the belt and he looked at him, and the crowd just started booing. And
he dropped it.
And then he's like he's gonna do it. And he looked at the belt and then he just went like that and threw it down. He went to go and when he ran at Punk got him up. He countered it. He managed to hit Punk with the go to sleep, but his left knee, was hurt on the mat, so that's why Punk was able to kick out of it. The final sequence was awesome. He did the buckshot. He landed, and as he landed, Punk caught him, had him up. Page reversed it. Punk reversed back out, got him up, and then hit him with the go to sleep 1, 2, 3. And then as soon as it was over, he hit it. The ref counted 3, and Punk just kind of scooted back to the ropes and just sat there. I don't know if it was kayfabe. I don't know if it was fake. I don't know if it was real, but he got emotional. He was trying not to cry, and he's just sitting there, and it was dramatic, right? He was sitting there. The Dapper Yapper came around, handed the ref the belt. The announcer, because the belt was on the other side of the ring.
The Dapper Yapper.
That's what they call him.
Justin Roberts.
Yeah, that's what they call him. I couldn't remember his name. So he got the belt, handed it to the ref. The ref's on the left, and CM Punk just sitting there, and then he just kind of looked over, and then his eyes really did wear up, and they gave him the belt, and he just sat there for a minute with the belt.
Well, and you've probably seen now that after the cameras went off, FTR came out and actually lifted them onto their shoulders.
I didn't see that one. Oh, damn, there was something else I forgot to mention that fucking just made me laugh. And it was the beginning of the JSS, the Jericho Society match, right? And whatever his name is, Dapper Yapper, what was his name? Justin Roberts was like, ladies and gentlemen, this next match, shit's just about to hit the fan. And the crowd went crazy.
Oh, I did hear him say that. Yeah.
He was like, the next match, he just went, shit's about to hit the fan. And the crowd just went crazy. So I forgot to mention that. That made me pop too. He was just like, this shit's about to hit the fan.
I remember him saying that.
So I forgot about that.
The CM Punk versus Hangman match. I look at it now and I wonder. Hangman basically was champion since February.
Something like that. I think they said, yeah.
So he didn't even make it to another pay-per-view.
They said it was like 190 some days, so it had to been. That's what through
October. Oh, so
yeah,
so he did make it through the first pay-per-view.
Yeah,
right, because he faced Adam Cole at the first pay-per-view.
Yeah. Right. He faced Adam Cole at pay-per-view, and they also faced Murder Hawk. That was on TV, right?
Well, he faced
defended it a few times.
He faced Danielson twice.
Mm-hmm.
The 60-minute Iron Man match that went to a Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Then they did the second match and he beat Danielson. Then they did Cole. Then they did Cole again. Then they did Murder Hawk. Or maybe they did Murder Hawk before Cole.
The Bear says since November. So yeah, it's been a minute.
So it was 6 months, but it was only one pay-per-view in that time frame.
Seems like it was more.
But
and then it might have been the they do the pay-per-views, but they do it like the Bass at the Beach kind of, where they do it on.
Well, again, they only do 4 pay-per-views right now. So yeah. But I found it interesting that he really only faced maybe 4 or 5 opponents the entire time. Like in 6 months, he only wrestled like 5 matches. And it makes me wonder if now that CM Punk is the champion, because when Punk came out initially as, like new signee, he was like, I've got off on Wednesdays, I've got off on Fridays, I'm going to be here.
I think he will. Because when you think about WWE, you think about Roman Reigns, they recycle the same dudes pretty much over and over.
Well, they do, and it's because WWE wants you to actually like invest in the story of it, right? Whereas in this, I think the story may be, I'm willing to take on all challengers. Now that's if they keep CM Punk as babyface, because right now, and okay, so number one, reason why Punk's now the champion. What do you think it is?
To bring more eyes. He's more of a name brand than while Adam Page is to wrestling, like real wrestling fans.
Don't say real wrestling fans.
Not real wrestling fans, but like the everyday person who may tune in to wrestling every now and again will know CM Punk.
So,
and I don't want the average person. I was wrong about that.
And I don't want everybody to think that I'm mad at you for saying it the way that you did. The fact remains that CM Punk is a person that A, has the same music he had in WWE.
Yes.
B, he's got the same name he had in WWE.
Yeah.
He's got the same moniker, best in the world, that he had in WWE. He has that appeal. I mean, he's been in movies at this point. He has that real world appeal.
He was in Heels.
He was in Heels. He was in not Sons of Anarchy, but he was in Mayans just like 2 weeks ago. Which, by the way, this season has been absolutely balls to the wall, fucking crazy.
I'm ready for Heels.
So am I, but he's in Mayans,
okay,
and I'm okay with that because he's a tattooed up dude, so of course, like being in Mayans makes sense. But he has overall appeal. On top of that, he's straight edge. So when you've got guys like John Moxley saying they're going into alcohol rehab, CM Punk
rehash that. They did that with Hardy and the
I'm not saying they'll make it a storyline. I'm saying that they're saying that they're, as a company, taking notice to those things and putting the belt on somebody straight edge.
Okay.
But real world appeal and everything else, he is the guy to get eyes on your product. Even Bryan Danielson, because of the name change from Daniel Bryan to Bryan Danielson, you're not going to get as many WWE people to change the channel to watch him. Jeff Hardy is one of those guys that you could have if he actually kept on the straight and narrow. The problem is I don't think he is on the straight and narrow anymore. I think that's why he looked sluggish during his match. At the same time, they've got the Hardy Boys music from WWE, so and the same names and everything else. So ideally, those would be another set of characters that they could actually bank on to get that mainstream appeal from WWE fans to then come over and want to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
As such, you look at Cody Rhodes on WWE programming, and they now have a Cody clock.
They didn't do it last night.
They didn't, but they did do the clock for the main event match. So they're doing a clock because they know that certain things are going to appeal to the people. Hey, be back here in an hour and 30 minutes because Usos versus Riddle and Shinsuke.
Yeah.
Cool. So but WWE had a truck going around showing Cody's face for Money in the Bank in Las Vegas, which is where Double or Nothing took place, and drove around the arena with that truck for 6 hours.
Did not know that.
Yes. So think about that. So they know that there's appeal there, and that they can try to get a couple of those people that were AEW fans to check out WWE programming based on the fact that Cody Rhodes is now part of their program, and they're pushing him, which, by the way, something I didn't think they would do.
I think they're going to push him at first. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried they're going to push him to the moon at first, and then well.
I would think that besides having the possibility of a creative control clause, which I do not believe Cody has, I believe that Cody's contract probably has a way out for Cody if he doesn't feel he's being treated properly.
I hope so.
I mean, we're now. WrestleMania was the beginning of April. We're now 2 months after Cody first arrived in WWE, and he is the number 2 guy.
Well, I mean, it's still new. It's 2 months in. Talk to me.
Dude, but he's had matches against The Miz. He's had matches against Kevin Owens, and he's had matches against Seth Rollins. He's facing your top talent right now.
He is the new toy. And I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying what happens when he's not the new toy anymore.
What did we say at the beginning of this? When we were talking about AEW talent. AEW talent, if they want to have TV time, has to get themselves over. Well, so far, they've given the ball to Cody. Cody hasn't dropped it.
Okay, we'll see.
I mean, and you know what? We've now talked about AEW programming as long as we have. Let's go ahead and talk about Monday Night Raw. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes cut a fire promo again last night with Seth Rollins, setting up their Hell in a Cell match. And you have to believe. Michael Turner says Cody wins the belt at. I think it's WrestleMania 39, Michael. I think we just went through 38.
Oh damn!
I think WrestleMania 38 was this year. I could be wrong. It might have been 37. I think it was 38 though. Tino, when we look at what happened on Monday Night Raw, we get a championship contenders match for the tag team titles, and they immediately try to make you forget that Matt Riddle was part of RK Bro, except Matt Riddle is cutting a promo on his way down to the ring saying that he doesn't want anybody to forget RK Bro.
What was with the strobe light and the flashing light and the smoke while he's walking up? And why Shinsuke the Ronin now? I didn't understand that whole thing.
He's the Ronin?
You didn't hear that part? He said, I'm the Ronin. You can understand him. But
well, he kept saying something about wanting Roman.
No, but because then Riddle's like, yeah, the Ronin and the Stallion. So I'm like, okay,
I don't know. Twitter said name this tag team between the two of them, and I'm like, RK no.
So what happened? Who broke that match up? Was that a match that they were wrestling?
Even Chris Barrett. Chris Barrett just tried to do the math, and he said first one was an 85, so it's 37. Nope, never mind. Yeah, it's 38. Hell in a Cell's this weekend, and we got matches like Bianca Belair versus Asuka happening last night, and it just gets busted up by Becky Lynch, who still looks like trash with that haircut now.
They didn't put the extensions back or something. I don't know.
I don't need the extensions, but she just needs to not have bangs. Like, her bangs are terrible.
Bangs bother you, Rob?
I don't like bangs. I'll admit I'm not a bangs guy. In fact, I remember reading something where a woman on Facebook sat there and said, I always wanted bangs until I had bangs, and now I don't want bangs. It's kind of like there's only 2 times that you actually are happy about a boat. It's the day you buy it and the day you sell it. Yeah. So, what's up with Becky Lynch looking like a Silverhawk?
I don't even know.
Like she literally looks like Archangel from the X-Men with the silver wings. But regardless of that, the Kevin Owens Ezekiel thing, I'm down every week now. Except I told you, and I don't know what the payoff is.
It's got to be he beats him and he goes, you know what? I am Elias.
I really am Elias. No, I think at this point they're going to try to just make you forget that Elias ever existed at some point. Although I mean, even his Twitter handle is "I am not Elias."
Stupid.
Chris Barrett, you're absolutely right. Bangs do look okay on specific people, but I've never met any of them.
And my daughter, she was like 8 or 9, maybe. Like when you're
No, I'm sure there's certain people that bangs look okay on. I don't know. I would much rather someone that has hair that just, like it's parted one way, or you flip it out, like, yeah, she's it. That's just how I am. I don't know. It's not my thing.
let's see. What else happened? Lashley.
Lashley.
He flipped almost through the table, so it almost makes me think he's about to get his ass whooped at the
Who's
paper.
that?
Lashley.
He's gonna get his ass whooped.
Yeah, he put almost to the table. Did you remember that in the confrontation? He got jumped by Cedric. I was sitting there watching them. I'm like, what if Lashley and almost became a tag team?
I don't want to see that. I would like to see, if you want to see a tag team form out of all that, notice who's not there in that group.
Shelton.
Yeah. And Lashley and Shelton would be a phenomenal tag team. I mean, hell, Shelton and Cedric were a phenomenal tag team. They just, Vince just didn't want to push them. So, I don't know. Tino, I got pretty much nothing else, but we probably should talk about Hell in a Cell pay-per-view and give predictions.
I don't even know what the fucking call is. All right. Keep talking.
Tino's going to pull that up, and we're going to talk about it real quick, folks, and then we're going to get out of here.
Was it Hell in a Cell?
2022.
Or Heck in a Sec?
Yeah. If anybody's out there in the audience, they want to say hi that they haven't said hi already, please do.
Oh, not results, damn it. Hard.
Make sure you give one of these to the episode.
Buy our shit.
Buy our shit, but we'll talk about this later.
Our full match card, let's see.
Ooh, full match card.
Heck in a Sec. Yes, I want to read the full story, you cocksucker. All right, we got Bianca Belair against
Becky and Asuka.
Yeah, I got Bianca.
I think it's too early for her to lose.
That's why I got Bianca.
So I'm okay with that.
Cody Rhodes and Seth.
That. Michael Turner says Becky.
Ooh. Cody wins 3 straight.
Sarah says Asuka.
Ooh. And Jason would agree with him.
Well, he would actually say that Sumi Sakai is going to win the match.
Yeah, so we got.
Hey, by the way, you say Sumi Sakai's name 3 times real fast, and Jason shows up in the chat.
Asuka's grandmama, Asuka's grandmama, Asuka's grandmama. With the orthopedic sketchers.
With the orthopedic sketchers.
Cody Rhodes and Seth. Cody, I think he does 3 straight.
Oof. I think he has to, right? Yeah, I think he has to, and I think they have to move on from that.
All right, Kevin Owens and Ezekiel.
I don't want to see Kevin Owens lose this match, but I think he has to.
Lashley against Omos and MVP.
You tell me. Audience, go ahead and tell me. Omos and
I think
Michael Turner says Bobby. Chris Barrett says Lashley.
I'm thinking Bobby.
I think it has to be.
They got to end it.
But I'm also thinking at this point that they're burying Omos.
Yeah.
Chris Barrett says no contest in the Owens and Elias match. You know what could happen in that match? I think what could happen is on the Jumbotron, Elias starts like with the guitar, like on a Memorex type, is it live or is it Memorex moment? Yeah. And say, "Hello, my name is Elias, and I'm gonna sing a song like in the middle of the match." Dude,
that would be funny.
I think we might see that. So I like the no contest on that one. So that's a good point there, Chris Barrett.
Liv, Finn, and AJ against Rhea.
The Judgment Day.
Huh?
The Judgment Day.
You think this is where Finn turns? Or Ciampa comes out?
If they go predictable, sure. But what if they brought back Paige? She would fit in that group.
I noticed last night in commentary, and there's like Corey, you mentioned your name. He goes, "Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I got other duties to do at the desk." So,
well, the thing I like about the idea of Corey Graves being part of it is that Corey Graves could be talking about the Judgment Day all episode long
on commentary,
and not ever get up from commentary, but be like a baby face to the Judgment Day, but a heel like commentator for everybody else.
Kind of like Taz was during the invasion thing.
Yeah, kind of like that. Or even Eric Bischoff on commentary in WCW.
Okay. What about Theory versus Mustafa?
Mufasa?
Damn it. Yeah, you know what I meant.
I think that Ciampa causes Mufasa to lose.
And then the only one is the Usos and Riddle and Shinsuke. That's really it. Okay. The Usos against Riddle and Shinsuke. It's got to be the Usos.
Wait, isn't there like a Ronda match? God, that's a terrible pay-per-view.
Neither main event. Bianca's the only belt championship. There's no Roman.
Well, Riddle and Shinsuke versus the Usos is for the undisputed tag championships.
And the Usos will win that, I'm sure.
So at this rate, I almost think that the women's title match actually is the main event of that pay-per-view.
Probably, yeah, because this looks weak.
Like, I think you start with the Usos and Shinsuke Bro.
I don't know though. That Cody Seth could be a main event too.
Well, it is in the Hell in a Cell, so it could be. Is that the only Hell in a Cell match in the cell? Or is the women's title match in one?
Nope. That's the only match that's in the Hell of a Cell.
They're gonna have to add another match that's in the cell.
Well, right now, it's weak looking card.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm pretty disappointed. Although in Hell in a Cell, there is a possibility that Brock Lesnar shows up.
What though? The Roman's not there. What's he show up for?
Maybe he crushes Cody. Maybe he crushes the Bloodline.
I see that happening before he crushes Cody.
Yeah, no, I do too. Sasha and Naomi win the shut up,
tag belts.
Shut up, Chris Barrett. Johnny Ace likes his women's tag team championship. Yeah, and the Usos aren't going to lose to Matt Riddle and Shinsuke. And if they do, they like it's to extend the storyline.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm that's where I'm at with it.
That's it.
All right, folks. I want to go ahead and say thank you to everybody for paying attention and keeping up with us this week. Johnny Ace is the Harvey Wimpleman of the women's. Oh, I need to watch the Young Rock season finale.
Oh.
Because it's supposed to be The Rock's actual debut match.
Oh, I need to check that out too then. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a Survivor Series match. So, Tino, go ahead and tell everybody what to do with us.
Damn, Clint Eastwood is 92.
Hmm?
Clint Eastwood's 92. I guess his birthday today is 92. God bless, I didn't know he was that old.
Wow.
All right, folks, we want to say thank you to everybody's coming out and sticking with us. We had a blast as always. You can check him out on the Twitter machine. Excuse me, at Potcheck. I'm Hootie Fan 91 on the Insta. I am SC Tino. He's got a bunch. He's got Rob Potsy Potcheck. He's got Rob Potcheck, and then
Junior High Horrors.
Junior High Horrors on what I missed on the TikTok. He is Rob Potsy Potcheck. We're on Facebook. We are the Potsy and Tino Show. On Twitter, we're Potsy and Tino. You can check us out every week right here on this channel on the Pots and Pans Network. We want to say thank you to Adam's House Cats for our theme song, which is the wrestling song. You can get that on iTunes for 99 cents, 99. And as always, folks, we're out of here. And we are thinking. Oh, yeah, dig it. I feel constipated every time I do that. Good night, folks. Like and subscribe and buy our shit.